All right, y'all. So it's been a hot minute or 10,000. Um, and I haven't really felt much like doing any art recently, or well, until recently. And then really, I just decided that I'm going to basically just kind of work on my own little project here. So I thought I'd bring you along on that journey right now, um, which is just some pages with some herbs and plants and stuff that I'm doing because while I make my living as a nurse and, you know, in the medical field, I tend to have a very holistic approach to things if it can be done naturally. I think everybody should do things naturally before they turn to the chemical approach, which is absolutely necessary sometimes, but a lot of times it's not. And it's not the healthiest thing for our bodies. So today I'm working on my page for apples. And I don't know what else to say right now. I'm just using this cute little stencil for my words, uh, which is really just apple at the moment. And the rest I'll freehand in my very sloppy writing. And we're going to draw an apple. Yep, that's what we're going to do. So, again, I'm super sorry that I haven't been around. I thank everybody so much for sticking around, those of you that have. And I've even gained a couple of subscribers over the last few months. I'm not sure how, but I thank you guys for subscribing. And I hope that you'll continue to watch me, even though currently I think that this is just going to be what I do for a little while. So, yeah, apple. That's what it says. So, I don't know if you know, apples are really healthy for you. There's a reason why there's that old saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, because it's they're very good. They're good, wholesome, lovely things that everybody should really include in your diet if you can. There are some people that are actually allergic to them, but even those people, a lot of them find that if they pop them in the microwave for a few minutes, actually not even a few minutes, but like, 30 seconds or 45 seconds or something like that, that they don't react to whatever it is that's in the apple that causes them to have their reaction normally. So they can still enjoy them too. Cooked apples tend to work kind of as a laxative, whereas a raw apple works to firm up your stools. So that's why apples are included in the brat diet, which is often, we use that for people that are having diarrhea and stomach upset. And applesauce helps firm that up for you. But a lot of applesauce is cooked, and that's not necessarily how you want to do it. So the raw apple is actually better for that. process. And yeah, I'm not being real fancy, and I'm not being realistic necessarily with my apple here. I'm just doing my thing because this is just my thing for my own personal use. Nobody else has to look at it really. Well, you guys have to look at it, I'm sorry. But I guess you don't have to look at it. You can stop the video anytime you want and walk away, really. I hope you don't, but you could. And that would be okay. Not everything is for everyone, right? And this is what I'm doing right now. So, a lot of apples, they're not all red. They're just not. Because there's usually a spot or two that hasn't completely ripened when you go and buy them, and this is just my thing. Just what I'm doing. But apples are also used a lot of times in magical things if you are so inclined to those types of actions. They're used in love spells, and they're good for fidelity, keeping your partner faithful to you. They say if you carve your initials in an apple, yours and your partner's, and you cut it in half, then you eat one half and your partner eats the other half, that it keeps them faithful to you. This has to be the worst looking apple that I've ever seen in my life right now. I hope it gets better. There's always an ugly stage in art, but I'm not sure sometimes that it's ever going to get better. And now my eye's watering. So, where were we? Alright, yeah, we were talking about fidelity and love spells. Apple love spells. You could do that. You can use the apple to actually attract a partner to you. I'm not, gonna go into spells or anything here because, well, that's not what this is about. But they do that. They're also used in vanity rituals and spells, and of course, what do we all know the apple as being most famous for, but as the forbidden fruit, because it granted knowledge. So wisdom, if you're seeking wisdom in something, you can use an apple. It was also seen as a symbol of immortality. So sometimes on All Hallows Eve, or Samhain, it's used as an offering to the dead in some parts of the world, as a symbol of immortality and eternal life, that they're never forgotten. Trying to think what else I can say about apples. Not really sure. But this one really isn't looking all that great here. But then again, I'm also not using any reference photo, which, if you're an artist, you know that that's kind of the number one rule. You need a reference photo if you want anything to look like it's supposed to. And I neglected that part. Never let this be a lesson to never ever think that your memory is going to do it for you. Unless you've drawn it 100 million times, and then you should be good to go. But I don't draw apples pretty much ever. I think this is probably the first apple that I've ever drawn. So, and I'm just using Prismacolor pencils, and this is a sketchbook that somebody did for me. Actually, they did it. My husband saw it and said, "Oh, I know somebody that can use that." And they aged the pages and all that fun stuff. They did a wonderful, wonderful job with it. And at first, I was terrified to use it because I was like, I'm going to ruin it. But then I realized, it's it's meant to be used, and you can't not use it just because you're afraid of it. That's silly. Can't not do something because you're afraid of ruining it, because nothing will ever get done if you do that. Yeah. So I'm just trying to find some colors that'll blend this out a little bit better and make it look slightly more realistic than what I have done, because I didn't do a good job. No, I didn't. I did a bad job. Although this might work. This might work. I decided, obviously, that these yellow spots didn't work out well. No, they didn't. It's the lovely thing about art and Prismacolor pencils is that you can pretty much blend out anything you want. It'll, unless the paper is saturated and it's not going to take anymore at all, you're pretty good to go. Just keep going, and it'll take it, and it'll fix it. Well, mostly fix it. The worst apple ever. That's okay. So, I don't know. You guys have anything that you like to use apples for? Go ahead and drop some comments down below and let me know. I definitely will check my comments and try and answer them, respond to them as best as I can. I'm not here to give you health advice or anything of that sort, but I'll answer whatever questions I can for you as best as I can. I'm just using some white here to add a little highlight because it seems to make sense to do that. Oops. Prismacolors are notoriously soft, so if you press too hard, they break like that. Yes. And yeah, I use my white a lot. I actually use my white often for blending, which I know dulls the colors in general, but again, if you're not going over it so hard that you are saturating the paper, you can go over it with another color again and make the color brighter, bring it back out the way that you wanted it to be to begin with, which is kind of what I'm going to do over here. See? Now, with the way this paper is, it's very porous because of the treatments that he put on there, and it's easy to it's easy to ruin this paper. I've done it and gone through and actually made a hole from trying to blend and fill in all of the white spots that are left in between, and gotten way carried away. So I am trying to be aware of that and careful of that and not pressing wicked hard on this. If it was untreated and not pre-aged the way it is, it wouldn't be such a big deal, but it is a little bit of a big deal the way that the paper is now. All right, so I'm happy with the way that has turned out. It's not the most beautiful apple, but you can tell that it's an apple, and that's all that matters to me at the moment. So what I'm going to do now is just write on there all those things that we talked about already in this bright, well, maybe I'm going to write it in this bright green pen. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm probably shaking you guys up like crazy here. All right, so that bright green pen is not going to be what I use because it doesn't want to write. It just doesn't want to. Let me try this bright green one. And I decided to go with green for my writing because, well, Granny Smith. I love Granny Smith apples, and I didn't want to leave them out, basically. So fidelity, fertility, marriage, and this one doesn't want to work either. Beauty, vanity. I think that honestly I just chose one that is, I've just chosen colors that are super light, and the camera doesn't want to pick them up either. Wisdom, immortality, and an offering to the dead, and then the two major health things: peeled, raw, stop diarrhea, and cooked, work as a laxative. All right, now let's see if I left myself enough space here to, I have these cards from this book that I got called the Illustrated Herbery, and it comes with a bunch of little oracle cards with the fruits and herbs and stuff that they focus on in it. It only has like 37 things in there. And I don't think I left enough room to be able to leave it over here anywhere. So what I've done with these cards before and a different for a different one, so I just put it over on this side instead. And I am just using good old-fashioned Elmer's glue stick. That's it. Just going to put it on the back of the card. And we're going to stick it in there. And that's it. Easy peasy. I like it. And that's it. That's all done. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll be back for more. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.